July 2nd, 1863. My name is Thomas Callahan, Private, 20th Maine Infantry Regiment, Army of the Potomac. I'm 19 years old, and I'm writing what might be my last letter home. I know that sounds dramatic, like something out of a cheap novel, but it's the truth. We've been fighting for 2 days straight here in Pennsylvania, a place called Gettysburg. Small town, nice people, beautiful countryside. Was beautiful anyway. Now it's hell on earth. Bodies everywhere. The smell of gunpowder and blood so thick you can taste it. And the noise. God, the noise never stops. Artillery, musket fire, men screaming, horses dying. It's like the whole world is tearing itself apart. But I need to write this letter. Need to get the words down before it's too late, before a Confederate bullet finds me, before I become just another name on a casualty list. Because if I die here today or tomorrow, I want my family to know what happened. Want them to understand, want them to know I wasn't afraid. Or at least, I tried not to be. I'm sitting under an oak tree on a hill called Little Round Top. Strange name for a place where so many men are about to die. My regiment is dug in here, waiting. The rebels are going to attack soon. Everyone knows it. We can see them forming up down in the valley. Thousands of them. Gray uniforms moving through the trees like ghosts. They're going to try to take this hill, and we're going to try to stop them. Simple as that. Kill or be killed. Let me tell you how I got here. How a farm boy from Maine ended up on a battlefield in Pennsylvania fighting for the Union. It started 2 years ago when President Lincoln called for volunteers. The South had fired on Fort Sumter. War had begun, and every able-bodied man in our town rushed to enlist. I remember that day so clearly, standing in the town square with my brother James and my best friend Michael O'Brien. We were just kids, really. 17 years old. Didn't know anything about war except what we'd read in books. We thought it would be an adventure. Thought we'd march to Richmond, whip the rebels in a few weeks, come home heroes. We were so stupid, so innocent. My mother cried when I told her I enlisted, begged me not to go. Said she'd already lost my father to illness, couldn't bear to lose me too. But I went anyway. Because it was the right thing to do, because the Union had to be preserved, because slavery had to end, because I believed in something bigger than myself. Basic training was hard. Learning to march in formation, to load and fire a musket, to follow orders without thinking. But I was good at it. Strong from years of farm work, smart enough to learn quickly. They made me a corporal after 6 months. And we got our orders. Virginia, the war. My first battle was Fredericksburg, December 1962. We attacked Confederate positions on a hill called Mary's Heights. It was a slaughter. Wave after wave of Union soldiers charging up that hill into Confederate fire. We never had a chance. The rebels were dug in behind a stone wall with perfect fields of fire. They just mowed us down. Row after row of blue uniforms falling, blood turning the winter snow red. I made it halfway up that hill before a bullet clipped my shoulder. Not a serious wound, but enough to knock me down. I lay there in the snow for 3 hours, playing dead, listening to wounded men cry for help that never came, watching rebels walk among the bodies, checking for survivors. When darkness finally fell, I crawled back to our lines, left behind hundreds of dead friends. That was my welcome to war. After that, I wasn't a naive kid anymore. I understood what we were fighting, understood that courage didn't matter as much as luck, that good men died while cowards survived, that war wasn't glorious or noble or any of the things the recruitment posters said. It was just killing. Industrial-scale killing. Muskets and cannons turning human beings into meat.
But I kept fighting. What else could I do?
Desert and be shot? Go home in shame? No. I'd made a commitment. To the Union, to my regiment, to the men who stood beside me. So I kept fighting through the winter and spring, through mud and rain and more battles. Chancellorsville, where we lost even though we outnumbered the rebels 2-1. Where Stonewall Jackson got killed by his own men. Where thousands more died for a few miles of Virginia forest. And now, we're here. Gettysburg, July 1863. The biggest battle of the war. Maybe the biggest battle in American history. 3 days of fighting that will decide everything. If we win, the Union might survive. If we lose, the Confederacy might win its independence. Everything hangs in the balance. And I'm sitting under a tree on a rocky hill waiting to see if I live or die. My regiment, the 20th Maine, arrived here this morning. We're commanded by Colonel Joshua Chamberlain, former college professor, never been in combat until a year ago. But he's smart, calm under fire. The men trust him. He gathered us together an hour ago and explained the situation. This hill, Little Round Top, is the key to the entire Union position. If the rebels take it, they can fire artillery down on our whole line. Could win the battle right there. So we have to hold it, no matter what. No retreat, no surrender. Just hold this hill or die trying. He said it plainly. Some of us won't survive today. Maybe most of us. But if we do our duty, if we hold this position, we might save the Army of the Potomac, might save the Union itself. Then, he looked each of us in the eye and asked if we understood, if we were ready. And every man said yes, because what else can you say? When your colonel tells you you're probably going to die, but it's for a good cause, you don't argue. You just load your musket and wait. So, here I sit, writing this letter. My hands are shaking. Not from fear exactly, more from anticipation. From knowing that in a few minutes, everything changes. Either I'll be alive at sunset, or I'll be dead. Either I'll see my mother again, or I won't. Either I'll grow old and tell my grandchildren about this day, or I'll be buried in a mass grave in Pennsylvania soil. It's that simple, that final. I can hear the rebels now. Their officers shouting commands, drums beating, thousands of feet tramping through the woods below us. They're coming. The attack is beginning. I need to finish this letter quickly. Mother, if you're reading this, it means I didn't make it home. I'm sorry. Sorry for the pain this will cause you. Sorry for enlisting against your wishes. Sorry for dying in some town you've never heard of, fighting people who used to be our countrymen. But I want you to know I died for something that mattered. For the Union. For freedom. For the idea that all men are created equal. I died believing that America is worth saving. That this war, as horrible as it is necessary. That slavery must end, and the Union must be preserved, no matter the cost. Tell James I love him. Tell him to take care of the farm, to take care of you, to live the life I won't get to live. Tell Michael O'Brien's parents that their son was brave, that he died well at Fredericksburg, that he talked about them at the end. Tell everyone in town that we fought hard, that we did our duty, that we never wavered. And tell them about this place. Tell them about Gettysburg, about Little Round Top, about the 20th Maine. Tell them we held the line. No matter what happens in the next hour, tell them we held the line. The rebels are at the base of the hill now. I can see them through the trees, hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Gray uniforms and red battle flags. They're starting to climb, starting to shoot. The air is filled with the crack of musket fire and the whistle of bullets hitting trees. Colonel Chamberlain is shouting orders. Load and fire at will. Aim low. Make every shot count. We don't have much ammunition. Have to make it last. This is it. This is the moment. I'm putting down my pencil, picking up my musket. My hands have stopped shaking. I'm not afraid anymore. Or maybe I am, but it doesn't matter. Fear doesn't matter. Only duty matters. Only holding this hill. If I die here today, at least I'll die for something. At least my life will have meant something. God bless America. God bless the Union, and God help us all. Here they come. The first volley hits them hard. Our entire regiment fires at once, a wall of lead tearing into the Confederate line. Men go down screaming, others stumble, but they keep coming, always keep coming. That's what rebels do. They charge straight into hell without flinching. I reload as fast as I can, tear open a paper cartridge with my teeth, pour powder down the barrel, ram the ball home, half-cock the hammer, place a percussion cap, full cock, aim, fire. The musket kicks against my shoulder, smoke blinds me for a second. When it clears, I see another gray uniform falling. Did I hit him? Maybe. Impossible to know in this chaos. Reload. Fire. Reload. Fire. It becomes mechanical. Don't think about the men you're killing. Don't think about their families back home in Alabama or Georgia or wherever. Just load and fire, load and fire. That's all war is. Repetitive mechanical killing until one side breaks or runs out of men. The rebels reach the rocks below our position. They're taking cover now, firing back. Bullets snap past my head, thunk into trees, smack into bodies. A man to my left takes a round through the throat, goes down gurgling. Nobody stops to help him. Can't. Too busy fighting. Colonel Chamberlain is walking behind our line like he's on a Sunday stroll. Bullets everywhere, and he's just calmed giving orders. Fix bayonets. Close the gaps. Hold your ground. The man either has nerves of steel or he's insane. Maybe both. The rebels charge again, screaming that inhuman sound they make. The rebel yell. It's supposed to scare us. Maybe it works on green troops, but we've heard it before. We just aim low and fire into the mass of gray uniforms surging up the hill. They hit our line like a wave hitting rocks. Hand-to-hand fighting now. Bayonets, rifle butts, knives. I shoot a rebel at point-blank range, see his eyes go wide, see him fall. No time to feel anything about it. Another one is coming at me with a bayonet. I parry with my musket, smash the butt into his face. He goes down. Keep moving. Keep fighting. My best friend Michael died like this at Fredericksburg, bayoneted in the stomach during a Confederate counterattack. Took him 4 hours to die, screaming the whole time. I held his hand, told him lies about how he'd be fine. We both knew better. That's war. Your friends die in agony and you lie to them because what else can you do? The rebels fall back. We've held them. For now. But they'll come again. They always come again. And each time there's fewer of us to stop them. I check my ammunition. 3 cartridges left. That's it. 3 shots. Then I'm down to bayonet and prayer. I look around at my company. We started with 40 men this morning. I count maybe 25 still standing. The rest are dead or wounded or scattered in the smoke. A sergeant is moving along the line collecting ammunition from the dead. That's what it's come to. Robbing corpses so the living can keep fighting. He tosses me a handful of cartridges. I shove them in my pouch. Maybe 10 more shots. That's all that stands between me and hand-to-hand combat with rebels who've been fighting this war longer than we have. The rebels are forming up again. I can see their officers rallying them, pointing up the hill, pointing at us. They know we're running out of ammunition. Know we can't hold much longer. One more big push and they'll break through, take the hill, win the battle, maybe win the war. Colonel Chamberlain appears next to me, asks how much ammunition I have. I tell him 10 rounds, maybe. He nods grimly. Nobody has more than that. The whole regiment is nearly out. We can't hold another assault, not with empty muskets. He makes a decision. I see it in his eyes. We're not going to wait for the next attack. We're going to charge them, fix bayonets, and charge downhill into a Confederate force that outnumbers us 2-1. It's insane. It's suicide. It's the only option we have left. He gives the order. Fix bayonets. Prepare to charge. The men look at him like he's lost his mind. Charge? We're supposed to defend. We're supposed to hold this hill.
But Chamberlain is right. Our only chance is to attack, hit them before they hit us, use surprise and downhill momentum to break their assault. Bayonets click into place along the line. I fix mine with shaking hands. This is it. This is how I die. Charging downhill with a piece of steel on the end of my musket, trying to stab men before they stab me. Not exactly the heroic death I imagined when I enlisted. But I'm ready. We all are. Because we're soldiers. Because we follow orders. Because sometimes the only way to survive is to do something crazy. Chamberlain raises his sword, points it downhill toward the rebels, and shouts the order that will either save us or kill us all. Charge!
We charge. 25 exhausted men with empty muskets and fixed bayonets charging down a rocky hill into 200 Confederates. It's the stupidest thing I've ever done. It might also be the bravest. Hard to tell the difference in war. The rebels see us coming, and they freeze. Just for a second. They weren't expecting this. They were preparing to attack, not defend. That second of surprise is all we need. We hit them like an avalanche, screaming, stabbing, clubbing, pure violence. I bayonet a rebel in the chest, feel the blade punch through wool and flesh, feel it catch on bone. I twist and pull it free. He falls. I don't look at his face, don't want to see his eyes, don't want to remember this moment. Keep moving, keep fighting. We're fighting like animals now. No tactics, no formations, just individual combat. Man against man, bayonet against bayonet. Some rebels are running, some are fighting, some are surrendering. The line is completely broken. We've done it. We've broken their charge. More rebels are running now, retreating down the hill. We chase them. Some of our men are shooting the stragglers. Some are taking prisoners. I'm just trying not to get shot in the back by a rebel who's not quite done fighting yet. And then it's over. Suddenly, completely. The rebels are gone, disappeared into the woods. We've taken the hill. We've held Little Round Top. The 20th Maine did what we were ordered to do. We held the line. I collapse against a tree. Can't breathe, can't think. My hands are covered in blood. My own? Someone else's? I don't know. Don't care. I'm alive. That's all that matters. I'm alive and the battle is over. For now. Men are cheering, hugging each other, crying. We survived. Against all odds, we survived. Colonel Chamberlain is moving among us, clasping shoulders, speaking quietly to each man. He looks as exhausted as we are, but there's pride in his eyes. We did the impossible today. I think about my letter, the one I was writing when the battle started. It's still in my pocket, unfinished. I pull it out. The paper is creased and dirty, but intact. I read the last lines I wrote. Here they come. Well, they came, and we stopped them. I survived to finish this letter after all. But so many didn't survive. I look around at the bodies, Union and Confederate mixed together in death. Boys who were alive an hour ago, who had families and dreams and futures. All gone now. All sacrificed on this rocky hill in Pennsylvania. For what? For the Union? For states' rights? For slavery or freedom? In this moment, looking at all these dead boys, I can't remember why we're fighting. Can't remember what makes this worth it. A wounded rebel is lying near me. Can't be older than 17. He's gut shot, gonna die slowly and painfully. He's crying for his mother. I move over to him, give him water from my canteen, hold his hand, tell him the same lies someone probably told Michael at Fredericksburg. You'll be fine. The surgeons will fix you up. You'll see home again. He knows I'm lying, but he's grateful anyway. Grateful not to die alone. He asks me why we're fighting, why Americans are killing Americans. I don't have an answer. I tell him I don't know anymore, that maybe nobody knows, that maybe we've gone too far to stop now. That maybe we just have to keep fighting until one side gives up or there's nobody left to fight. He nods, says that's what his sergeant told him too. Then he closes his eyes and dies. Just like that. 1 second talking, next second gone. I take his hand away gently and move on. Nothing else I can do for him. The rest of July 2nd passes in a blur. We hold our position, bury some of the dead, tend the wounded, resupply ammunition from captured rebel supplies, prepare for whatever tomorrow brings. Because the battle isn't over. This was just day 2. There will be a day 3. More fighting, more dying, more boys becoming corpses in Pennsylvania dirt. That night, I finish my letter. I cross out the part about it being my last letter. I'm alive, surprised, but alive. So I write a new ending. Tell my mother I survived. Tell her about the charge, about holding the hill, about the rebel boy who died asking why we're fighting. Tell her I still don't have a good answer to that question, but I'm still here, still fighting, still trying to do my duty, even when I don't understand the reasons anymore. July 3rd, the final day. The Confederates make one last attack. Pickett's charge, they'll call it later. 15,000 rebels marching across an open field toward the center of our line. We watch from Little Round Top. Watch them get slaughtered by artillery and musket fire. Watch them try to break through and fail. Watch the Confederate army finally break and retreat. Watch the battle end. Watch the war turn. Because after Gettysburg, the South never recovers. This was their high watermark. They came north to win the war, and we stopped them. Here, on these Pennsylvania hills, with blood and courage and a bayonet charge that shouldn't have worked, but did.
July 4th, 1863. Independence Day. The rebels are retreating. Wounded, defeated, broken. We've won. The Union has won. Gettysburg is ours. Pennsylvania is saved. Maybe the whole Union is saved. But the cost is almost too much to comprehend. 7,000 Union soldiers dead. Over 20,000 wounded. The Confederates lost even more. Maybe 30,000 casualties. In 3 days. 3 days of killing on a scale this continent has never seen. 3 days that changed everything. I walk the battlefield on the morning of July 4th, past Little Round Top where we made our stand, past Cemetery Ridge where Pickett's charge was slaughtered, past the wheat field and the peach orchard and all the other places that have innocent names but are now synonyms for death. Bodies everywhere, Union and Confederate, young men and old men, rich and poor, educated and illiterate, all equal in death, all just corpses rotting in the summer sun. The smell is unbearable. 50,000 casualties in July heat. You can smell it for miles. The citizens of Gettysburg will smell it for months. Will find bodies in their wells and basements and barns for years. This town will never forget what happened here. None of us will. This battle will haunt us forever. I find my regiment. What's left of it? We started with 40 men. 18 survived uninjured. 12 wounded. 10 dead. 25% casualties. And we were lucky. Some regiments lost 70, 80%. Some were completely wiped out. The butcher's bill for holding Little Round Top. For doing our duty. For saving the Union. But we did save it. That's what everyone is saying. The Confederates won't recover from this. They've lost too many men, too much equipment, too much momentum. The war will continue, might last another year or two, but the outcome is decided now. The Union will win. Slavery will end. America will be whole again. That's what we're told. That's what we're supposed to believe. And I want to believe it. Want to believe that all this death means something. That the boys buried in Pennsylvania soil didn't die for nothing. I finished my letter, the real final version. I tell my mother I'm coming home, not right away, the war continues, but I'll survive it now. I know I will. I survived Fredericksburg, survived Chancellorsville, survived Gettysburg, and the charge down Little Round Top. I've used up all my bad luck. From here on, I'm going to live. Going to make it through this war. Going to go home and see her again. Going to take over the farm. Going to have a family. Going to grow old and tell my grandchildren about this war. About this battle. About this moment when everything changed. I'm Thomas Callahan, Private, 20th Maine Infantry Regiment. I'm 19 years old, and I just fought in the biggest battle of the American Civil War. I watched friends die, killed men with my own hands, charged into hell with a bayonet, and survived. I'm a veteran now, a real soldier, not the naive farm boy who enlisted 2 years ago. That boy died somewhere between Fredericksburg and Gettysburg. What's left is harder, older, scarred by things I'll never fully explain to people who weren't there. But I'm alive, and I'm going home. Eventually, when this war finally ends, when the killing finally stops, when America remembers how to be one nation again, I'll go home. And I'll try to forget, try to be normal, try to be the person I was before war changed me. I'll probably fail. War changes you in ways you can't undo. But I'll try. Because that's what survivors do. We try to live. Try to honor the dead by living the lives they can't. Try to make their sacrifice mean something. Gettysburg, July 1st through 3rd, 1863. The turning point. The high water mark. The place where the Confederacy came closest to winning and failed. The place where the Union held the line, where a college professor turned colonel ordered a desperate bayonet charge that saved an army, where farm boys from Maine became heroes, where 50,000 men became casualties, where America bled and died and was reborn. I was there. I fought there. I survived there, and I'll remember it for the rest of my life. Every single day, every single night, forever. That's my burden. That's my honor. That's what it means to be a soldier. To carry the weight of those days. To remember the fallen. To tell their story. To make sure the world never forgets what happened on these Pennsylvania hills in July 1863. God bless the fallen. God bless the Union. God bless America. We held the line.